very even to me at that point, so I decided to try and open up the gap a bit. This is where it backfires like a lot. I constantly move out with about 4 tanks and 8 vultures, like 4 times. Each time I took something with me, but I lost that army. He had an extra expansion that I didn't scout fast enough and lost the game. Is crawling with tanks to the expansions and harassing with vultures the only safe play, Terran vs Protoss mid-game? So just to set up what we're going to be talking about here. And I have watched this replay before. It's actually not bad. I was surprised to... That sounds bad, but it's the truth.
Cool, alright. Well, just a couple things. On Talcross, I wouldn't overly suggest creeping up to their expansion. That never seems to work for me on this map because of the multiple paths that they can use to get over towards your base. A slow push isn't as good, as it is on another map like Python, where it's just one open area and that's it. It's on Talcross, a lot of countering can go on. So most Terrans, including myself, we like to probably take 2 bases and do a big macro game while harassing.
Okay, so you're suggesting 1 factory expansion and then basically playing defensively until you have 3 bases secured?
Yeah, I like to do that type of style here on Talcross.
He actually mentioned that in his post. Let me see if I can find it. My main question is, how would you expand without making a siege line over it? Is playing that aggressively considered reliable? Does it work versus high-level gamers? What is the alternatives to expanding passively, if any?
Well, there are other ways to expand. For instance, on a different Python game or something like that, a map like Python where it's hard to take your 3rd base, I would expand aggressively. I would do maybe a 4-fact timing rush, start harassing their units and stuff like that. And during that rush, I would expand, and I would add factories. You have to have a lot of APM to do it, but it can really work out quite well to expand in that style.
And I mean, even if Artosis is saying, what he thinks is the ideal strategy on the map, I mean, that doesn't mean the other strategies are weak. It just means, given how the terrain lays out and the way people typically play the map, it's the strongest build. But I mean, the other builds are, if you had to put some numbers to them, only a % or 2% worse. So, I mean, it's not like just sitting and playing 200 is the only way to play this map, but it, as he mentioned, he does feel it's the strongest.
Oh, certainly. This, in fact, I'll use all sorts of different strategies on maps, even the ones that aren't necessarily the best for the map. You do have to switch it up. You can't just be a robot and do the same thing every game.
I find, unfortunately, those mind games don't work on weaker players, because you think, okay, he thinks I'll do this on this map, so I'll counter what he would counter, with this other build, and fortunately that thinking typically just goes right over their head. So, I'd say if you're a D player, you might just want to stick to the solid builds, but as you're getting higher in the rankings, maybe the kind of mind games might come into it a little more.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, a really low-ranked player, you may not even, know what he's seeing. He may just randomly counter something else, and then you're screwed, and because you tried to trick him, but it didn't work, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's like, reminds me when, who did the fake expand against Jelizerg, and he only had 2 Sunkens up? Was that Casey? And, there's a bunch of noobs. There was a bunch of newbies saying like, oh, that wouldn't work on me, and it's like, yeah, of course it wouldn't work on you. You wouldn't even notice, like, the expansion was up. That's why it wouldn't work on you. Okay, so we've got 2 factories, 2 add-ons, and a single marine. What are your thoughts on, or sorry, 2 marines. What's your thoughts on this Terran opening?
Well, it's a little bit risky on Talcross because people love to do their 2-gate range, with probe cut, but this guy didn't do the probe cut, so it looks like he's going to be safe. One thing, I guess he really wants to get his vultures out quick, and I see that he started speed before mines, because his SCV was in the base and seeing 2-gate range. If Protoss got really aggressive with good micro, it might backfire to get speed first. I may have decided to get mines first, but it looks like here it won't matter.
Yeah, that does seem really strange. I can't even think of a situation where you would want speed first unless you're playing the most aggressive player ever and you think you can sneak your first 4 vultures past or something.
Yeah, speed first also is normally reserved for maps with ramps. You can hold those really easily against mass goons, with just a tank or 2.
So it looks like he's actually hiding his vultures and letting the tank get targeted. Bit of a mistake in your mind?
No, it's not too bad because he really, he kind of ambushed those goons. He just got like 3 goon kills for a tank and a vulture or so, and that's not too bad.
Okay, so I guess, do you like Terran's position in this position, and how would you follow it up?
Well, I would stop with how many vultures he has right now going towards the Protoss base because his SCV was there when the robo was started, so it's going to switch over to Protoss advantage really quick. As soon as he gets an observer out, he's going to be able to clear out any mines, and you're going to need siege tanks in siege mode. And one other thing I have to say is when he had those vultures, he really should have run in. He just kind of laid mines as if in a contain, and he waited too long. The goons were, they were back. He could have gone in, maybe done a surround, laid some mines, gotten a lucky mine, kill some goons. But as is right now, his vulture rush really didn't do any damage.
Yeah, I'm a little worried too because I don't see siege mode started. He's still making vultures, and I mean Protoss is out with observers. I mean, if he marches towards the Terran base, Terran could be in a lot of trouble at this point.
Yeah, but if he marches towards, I mean, he has to play a little bit careful. Yeah, exactly, because the Volts could counter him. So if he just keeps showing the Volts, he keeps the fear of God in the Protoss, and the Protoss kind of has to sit there until he has enough goons to hold home and clear the map.
And, okay, should he be laying mines at this point if he knows Protoss has observers out, or should he save them, for the possibility of a surround and then use the mines?
Yeah, I would just lay some sporadic mines about, just things that he may not kill, like right along the edges and stuff. Just any vision that you can have down there for as long as possible is good. And I'd also, mine up various expansions, send 1 vulture out at a time to the different expands of the map, because you have to keep an eye on the expansions. Protoss players love to just run around and make nexuses, and you just can't let that happen.
Those damn Protoss players.
Yeah, absolutely, those sons of bitches.
Okay, so whoa, wow, ouch. Okay, so this Terran player is proving to play really aggressively here. He's bringing these tanks down. I think this kind of goes back to what we said. If you're ahead, you might want to play a little safer. He knows his expansion is up first. What do you think about this push?
The push, it was not a good idea. The Protoss, of course, had enough to crush it, but he did get some lucky mines, which kill a lot of goons. If he hadn't, the game would be over right now. The Protoss could just go 1A, 2A, and that would be it. So that was kind of a lucky thing that happened with those 2 tanks. It could have been a lot worse than that. Alright, and right here, when he saw the goons come out clearing mines, he should have known, this tank isn't going to do anything. Just grab all the SCVs off your natural, because you're going to have to grab them anyway when the goons kill all your tanks.
Okay, so he mentioned in his post that Protoss took a really early 3rd base. I don't know if this qualifies as an early 3rd base for Protoss. I mean, I don't really know this matchup that well, but what are your thoughts?
No, it's not a particularly early one. It's a really safe third, actually, and there's really not too much he could do about it right now. So his game plan right now, he lost a bunch of units already. If you really lose any units early in TVP, you're not going to be able to do a very good timing push. So he should just be making command center in his natural so he can float it over. And, just add some factories, get your ComSat scanner, and start doing reconnaissance with your speed vultures.
Yeah, it looks like he has this aggressive attack in his mind. Keeps trying to move out with 4 tanks and a couple vultures, but I mean, you can only do that really if the game allows for it. You can't really force it. I don't know if it's going to work in this situation.
Yeah, actually he almost got into a nice position right there. What he should have done is when he came out with the tanks, just run the vultures around the goons. Don't attack them, don't lay mines, don't do anything. Get behind the dragoons, and then start laying mines and running towards the Protoss base, laying mines the whole way. Because the dragoons, from a good micro, he's going to kill a lot of the mines and stuff, but you can trap the goons with that amount of units that you had there.
Okay, and with every push we see Protoss is just moving ahead in the supply camp. I mean, is that a function of bad micro, or just bad timing, moving out at the wrong times?
Well, strategically, he's not playing correctly here. He has 4 facts right now. The Protoss has, what is this, like 6, going on 7 gates and 3 bases. He has observer tech, so Terran is not going to be able to do any damage. I mean, best case scenario is run your speed vultures around, try to pick off probes, but do not attack with your tanks. TVP is all about your tanks, and you've got to keep them alive, and you've got to get a lot of them. And don't try to kill them when you have just a few.
Yeah, I mean, as a Zerg player, this reminds me of, running 12 Zerglings around and losing them time and time again, and then when Protoss finally does roll out, he's got like double my supply or something. It just seems similar, like he keeps losing all these vultures and even tanks for nothing. Now you look at the supply and the infrastructure, he's just way behind.
Yeah, it's kind of like he had no late game planning. Right now, if you look at what he has, it looks like it's early mid game for him, but it's actually not early mid game. It's late mid game, and Protoss is in late mid game according to his tech, his supply, his gateway count, his expansion count. But here's Terran still in the early mid, and it's just basically no way to win from here.
What do you think of this command center placement in his main?
I'm not too sure. I would have made it the natural. It's a lot closer to your third.
I mean, I don't know how much more we're going to have to add here. It looks like he's just going to keep moving out, and it's not going to work. I mean, it didn't work the first 5 times, and Protoss is just getting further ahead.
Yeah, if you want to do a timing attack, TVP, you have to get a real timing attack. Don't just bring down your first 2 tanks after you make like 10 vultures. That will never, ever, ever work. What you should do, is find a real build, like 1 fact expand into 4 fact or 5 fact, and then do your timing.
Okay, so why don't you talk about a typical timing attack, what it looks to counter and what basically you're looking for from your opponent to determine your timing, because a lot of people say they want to do timing attacks, but they don't really understand the concept of timing, especially in TVP.
Well, a timing attack in TVP, the most common one I would say is when the Protoss goes for the really quick third base. I'm talking off 1 or 2 gateways. They make their natural nexus, then they make another one. And normally the Terran, the most popular build order for TVP nowadays is probably, the 1 factory expand. So you'd open up 1 factory expand, and then you'd probably add 3 factories or 4 factories, depending upon the map. And what you're going to do is, if they take that really quick next nexus, is just mass, and, what you're going to do is you're going to hit maybe 6, 7 tanks, and that's when you're going to stop tank production and just rally vultures. And that is your timing right there. You hit 6 or 7 tanks and stop making them. They do not build quick enough. They do not move across the map quick enough. You need to rally vultures after that.
And with that timing, does it involve, you know, cutting SCVs at any point, or building up factories while not making units? Anything any nuances like that to consider?
Yeah. Well, you don't cut SCVs. You don't want to do that unless it's like a really weird kind of game, a weird attack timing that you're going for. But basically, you stop making any units when you notice that they're going double Nexus off of 1 or 2 gateways, because you don't need any. They're not going to attack you. They don't have any units. So you get your factories up as quickly as possible, and then you resume units all at once.
Alright, with that last attack, I think I'm going to kick this up to 16x. We're at... Protoss is sitting at basically double Terran supply. I don't think anyone could lose this game at this point. Good luck, Kenneget, observing this.